Yo, what's going on guys, Arekkz here and welcome back to another Division video. And in this video, I want to give you guys some more information surrounding the upcoming open beta. And if you guys missed the video yesterday, then yes, an open beta has been confirmed. It starts on the 18th of February if you're on Xbox One, and a day later on the 19th for PS4 and PC, and it runs up until the 21st. However, today on PS4, the beta client got updated, and with it, we effectively got some patch notes. Basically, the changelog explains what has differed from the closed beta client to the open beta client, and it gives us an idea as to some of the things we'll be doing. So, I'm going to tell you guys what you need to know. Of course, if you guys do enjoy this video and you do find it helpful, a like would be super appreciated, and comment down below and let me know what you think. So, to begin with, let's start with the new content. As mentioned yesterday, I said the open beta would have an additional mission. At the time, we didn't know exactly what mission, and I speculated that it would most likely be the security one, given that we saw it in the most recent IGN first video. However, that is not actually the case. The mission we're going to be doing is actually the very first tech mission, and that means we'll not only encounter a new faction, the Cleaners, although technically speaking you saw them in the Dark Zone if you went to the top left of the map, but in terms of the story sense, this will be the first time you encounter the Cleaners. Throughout the mission, you'll have to explore a mass grave while trying to restore power to the city, and at the end of it, you will rescue the engineer, Paul Rhodes. However, as you guys should know by now, completing missions also allows you to upgrade different parts of the tree. And if you remember in the closed beta, you were only able to do a medical mission, and you were only able to upgrade 2 sections of the wing. That meant there were a total of 4 skills: Pulse, First Aid, Sticky Bomb, and the Riot Shield. However, now that we actually get to do the first tech mission, we'll also be able to upgrade the tech wing or do the very first upgrade, which means we'll unlock the second skill, which is of course the turret. That's the turret that you can throw down on the ground, and it will then shoot at enemy targets for a period of time or until it's destroyed. Now, whether we'll actually be able to unlock the mods for this one, I don't actually think so, because if you look at the medical tree and how it works in the closed beta, while the first aid skill was the second skill we unlocked by doing the mission, we weren't actually able to unlock any mods for it, so I think the same will probably apply for the turret, but either way, it will give us a new skill to play with. Do bear in mind you can hold down RB whilst using the turret to actually throw it, so you don't just have to place it where you stand. Also, if like the medical tree we're allowed to at least upgrade one of the other sections, then we might be able to get some mods for the sticky grenade, but again, that much we'll have to wait and see. For the time being, now let's move over to the Dark Zone, because there's also a list of improvements and changes in there. So, first up, one of the most exciting things, there will be some new high-end weapons. If you guys remember, at the top of the Dark Zone in Dark Zone 2, just by Morgue Library, was the safe room, and inside that there was a vendor that sold 2 high-end weapons. The Caduceus, which was an assault rifle, and also the Cassidy, which was a double-barrel shotgun. Both of those required that you be level 8 and Dark Zone rank 12 to buy, and they set you back around 3,000 credits. However, there are going to be new ones this time. We have no idea what they're going to be. I'm personally holding out for, say, a sniper rifle and an SMG. I mean, I don't know what you guys would like to see, but personally, a high-end sniper rifle could be super awesome. When you consider they have their own skins and they have their own sort of like unique perks, a special high-end sniper could be absolutely insane. But let's stick with the facts for the time being, so there will be new high-end weapons, so at least when the beta drops, you know exactly where I'm going to be going. On top of that, something I know a lot of people will be very happy about, myself included, the refresh rate on Dark Zone chests has been greatly reduced. And what that basically means is that the way Dark Zone chests work are, let's say for example, I have a group and you have a group, and my group opens a chest just before you get there. The way the Dark Zone is designed is that you then won't be able to open the chest for a short period of time before it then refreshes and you can go and loot it yourself. That's the nature of the Dark Zone, that's the way it's supposed to work. However, in the beta or the closed beta, the refresh rate was ridiculously high to the point where if I opened, say, a chest in the morning, no one else would really be able to open a chest pretty much that same day. So that was clearly a bug, they fixed that now, so the refresh rate has been reduced, so hopefully this time around you'll actually be able to open some chests. On top of that, non-player enemies in the Dark Zone, i.e. the AI enemies, have been significantly increased in number. And again, in the closed beta, a lot of people sort of mentioned about how the enemy kind of count was quite sparse. And that wasn't actually a bug, that was actually because they were testing things in particular. Do bear in mind that while the beta does give us a look at the game, it's also a test environment, so they were testing very specific things, and that's why we had a very streamlined, stripped down version of the Dark Zone. But they've amped up the AI populations, so there will now be more things for us to kill, and of course more XP to get, and more chances at Dark Zone keys. On top of that, non-player enemies in the Dark Zone have been buffed slightly, so they'll also be stronger. And the manhunt time has now been changed so that it now pauses instead of refreshing whilst in combat as a level 5 rogue. So this is basically how it used to work in the alpha, whereby if you got to rogue rank 5 and you then shot some more people, your timer would pause but it wouldn't go back up. However, in the beta, they swapped it around so that your timer would reset every single time, which made it kind of difficult because it basically meant every time you got to rogue rank 5, you had no option but to run unless you just wanted to have a perpetual timer. So this way, it now pauses your timer, but it does mean you can gradually decrease it. They've also increased the reward for surviving as a rogue agent, so it's now been increased by 1.5 times the kill bounty. So whereas before surviving as a rogue rank 5 would give you, I think it was about 700 credits, whereas now that'll be 1.5 times. So there should now be an amount, say, comparable to opening the Dark Zone chest. So it could now well be that opening chest and going rogue rank 5 and surviving could both be the best sources of currency. That much, again, I'll find out once the actual beta drops. but that is what it sounds like. Moving on from there, the health bar for the agents in the Dark Zone now only turns red when they actually become rogue. So whereas before, if you accidentally shot someone a couple of times, the life bar would go red and people thought this was a signal to kind of allow them to shoot them, and then sometimes it would then mean they went rogue and not the enemy. This time, they will only go red when they go rogue. So it now means if you see a red life bar, you're safe to shoot. And following on from that, they've actually added a new warning icon that basically indicates an agent who shot another player but has not done enough damage to go rogue. So that way those accidental shots, say if you're shooting an enemy, someone runs in front and you accidentally clip them, you'll now get a warning symbol to sort of say, hey, I'm not quite rogue yet, it was an accident. And it basically sort of gives you a buffer to try and either apologise or, forgive your enemy or whatever. They've also adjusted the Dark Zone experience leveling curve. Now, they haven't actually said exactly how they've adjusted it, whether it's to make it faster or slower, but given that you ranked up pretty fast in the Dark Zone, I'd imagine it's probably to slow you down, but that, again, hasn't been confirmed. And on top of that, they've also disabled the option to transfer Dark Zone brackets as a rogue. Basically, this should just mean that those people that used to go rogue rank 5 and run out the environment and then teleport to the safe room, you should no longer be able to do that. I'm not entirely sure whether it will lock you in a particular bracket, which could be a bit weird if, say, you're in Dark Zone 1 and you want to run to Dark Zone 2, but again, we'll have to find out how that works. For the time being, this should now stop those people, so if you go rogue rank 5, you're going to have to survive. And also, finally, under Dark Zone changes, they've removed some of the ropes that allow players to reach areas that gave them an unfair advantage. So, they again haven't said exactly what ropes. I would hazard a guess that it might well be the one opposite the car park, given that you're not supposed to be able to get around the back of it unless you do some sort of shifty running through the red areas. So, that's probably one that's been taken out for now. I don't know whether that will be taken out in the full game or whether it's just for the beta purposes, but either way, that should help with the griefing. And that is pretty much it for the Dark Zones. Those are all the changes and improvements to the Dark Zone, so that should now give you guys an idea of the experience you'll now be getting. Definitely make sure you go and check that safe room vendor so you can see what those new high-end weapons are. However, there are a few more things. I'm going to skim over these super quickly because these are more sort of behind the scenes bug fixes, and if you guys do want to read these in depth, then I will link you to a website that has all the patch notes in the description box down below, but let's run through some of these super quickly. First of all, there is a new Ubisoft Club Action for participating in the open beta, which leads to unlocking another exclusive in-game reward. For those of you guys that participated in the closed beta, you'll know that come launch, we'll be getting this hat. However, there is a separate reward for those that participate in the open beta. And while they haven't actually announced what it is, I do have a speculation. See, if you take a look at this image, this weapon skin is the reward that you got for participating in the alpha. However, if you look in the background of this, you'll also see an agent wearing what looks to be a varsity jacket that matches the colour scheme for the hat, which is of course one of the in-game sports teams. So if I had to hazard a guess, I would say the alpha reward is of course the weapon skin, the beta is the hat, and the open beta will most likely be that varsity jacket. Again, not confirmed, and once I do find out for certain, I will of course let you know, but for those of you that participate, you will get a reward. On top of that, there's a new and improved tutorial. The tutorial video is now available from the character select screen if you want to watch it again. And they also fixed some bugs that allow players to become invisible in the Dark Zone, which again was super annoying, so that's now fixed, so hopefully we shouldn't have to worry about that. They also fixed an exploit with the Ballistic Shield that allowed players to become invincible. Cheat detection and prevention additions have been updated, so hopefully that now means in the PC version, those people that were using infinite ammo and the sort of other glitches, hopefully this should now stop that. The next one I am particularly sad about. Unfortunately, I figured they were probably going to fix it, but in the beta, in case you guys didn't know, if you ran whilst holding a grenade, you ran especially fast. It was literally the fastest way to run in the game. They fixed that so that now running with a grenade in your hand doesn't actually give you an advantage, which is really annoying. I like the fact that it was sort of like a hidden, almost advanced technique for running faster, but either way, that's now been adjusted. They've also fixed a bug that sometimes caused other players' name and health bar to not be visible in the Dark Zone. And then the rest of the patch notes basically just go over a few bug fixes, talking about some sort of slightly more minor things, like, say, weapon mod stats not necessarily showing correctly, some of the weapons not appearing as contaminated loot, etc. But basically, if you want to see the last bit of that, then you can find that in the description box down below. But for the time being, that was a quick overview of the main points you need to know. Those are the changes from the closed beta to the open beta, and that is the experience we're going to get. So again, as a super quick reminder, 18th of February is when it kicks off on Xbox One, and the 19th for PS4 and PC, and it ends on the 21st. For those of you guys asking where you'll get it from, I imagine at some point next week, most likely around 24 to 48 hours before it goes live, a client will be available on the respective stores, so PlayStation Store, Xbox Live, and of course Steam or wherever it is on the PC, and you'll then be able to download it from there. Aside from that, that is pretty much it. So if you guys have any questions, then by all means let me know in the comments down below. And again, don't forget to leave a like if you did enjoy this video. And thanks for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.